Hello, hello, hello. How are you on this fine day? It's November already, so that's exciting. And it is raining out here in South Australia, in Adelaide, Surrey Downs, the area I live. So beautiful, and yet it looks gloomy. So, do certain things in your environment strike you, so that you feel sad or mad, or the environment? What do we do with the environment? And once we are you even aware that it can strike a mood? And you're like, so, well, what if you were upset? How do you self soothe? Do you let it get to you? Do you think and feel and just go there and sit there and think and feel and keep going there in sadness and grief? Hi, everyone. So, what do you do? What did you do? What did you used to do? How do you see people do it? So the question is, how do you self-soothe? So how do you self-soothe? By understanding that you can self-soothe in many different ways. I'm curious about, how do you self-soothe? I am Dr. Brenda Jane Power, and the doctor represents metaphysics and the nature of being. Okay, that's what metaphysics. So what are you being? Are you in charge of your being, the human being? And what's in charge of your human being? So, how do you self soothe? So, if you're a parent, you go in and you see your child crying. Let's say it's a little girl and she's crying and crying, and you go in and you're like, oh, sorry. They're like, no, don't go. And you're like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to do. Um, and you sit there and you think, you're like, do you want me to go get your mom, or do you want me to go get some, somebody else? And they're like, no, 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 no. And they're like, dang it, they're choosing me. I'm not good at this stuff. So you go into your own head and start to complain. And then you start to think, okay, what's it about? And it's about a boy. Oh, goodness. Would you like me to beat them up? So you're helping this person by saying, let me go get somebody else. Would you like me to beat them up? And then you get a smile and a chuckle. No, no, no. You're like, I'm not really good with this, but how do you help someone soothe? How do you help soothe yourself? You have any recent things for you? I'd like to hear. When you get older, um, you may use alcohol, at the end of that day. Nothing wrong with that. You may use cigarettes. You may use sex. You may use what? That's up to you. Binge watching, eating snack after snack. How do you self soothe? And I asked this question many years ago, and I didn't like how it came about with my answer. So let's take a defining moment. So the defining moment was, I'm 16 years old, and I don't know what was worse, my intuition, the psychic vision that I had just moments before the horrific thing occurred. I saw it all happening, and it was like, oh my God, seriously? I was like shocked. So I walked outside in real time. I walked outside. My friend, male friend, was in his truck, and he says, "Hey, do you remember so and so?" And I said, "Yeah." And then all of a sudden, I go into a psychic vision. It seemed like it was forever, but it was only like a couple of seconds. And what it showed me was from 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. That's a long span of time. Hi. And so I'm asking the question is, how do you self-soothe? So this defining moment was that I went into, as I'm talking to this person, I went into how I went back a couple minutes where I answered the door. Now, you have to understand, I was not supposed to let any boys, any kids, anybody in after 9 p.m. because I'm supposed to be watching my sister, and my mom is working right across the road at the nursing home. And I'm supposed to be a good girl. Now, I'm supposed to, be the responsible one. Well, my male friend came up and he was revving his engine so that I would hear him. And so then I come outside and I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. I live in an apartment. There's people that are already probably gone to bed. And and so I'm trying to have a conversation with him. Now, that happened, but I also had that psychic moment where I went back. And then I saw what I saw next. I saw the green Nova sitting down at the car wash. There was two stalls you couldn't see, and then the last stall had open ended, so you could see them. And it was revving up, and it was like acting like a monster, and it was just, you could feel the heat and the anger, and you could feel it. And I was like, oh my gosh. My male friend goes, oh my gosh. And then I heard, should I stay or should I go? And I'm shocked by looking, and then I see myself looking at him, and I said, "You should go." And then I said, "No, wait, wait, you should stay. You should stay." And it was too late, and I knew that somebody was going to die. It was an awful feeling. And then he drove off. I heard the sounds, the smell, everything, seen the direction he was going in. And then I ran into the house. I got the police scanner, went up to my bedroom, looked out the window, and I waited. And then all of a sudden you hear there was a crash, blah, 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 blah. And that's what the police scanner said. And I'm like, oh my God, I look up again and there's cop cars, ambulance, and everything heading in that direction. And I had to sit there and wait until about 2 a.m. before someone came to my door, and which was my male friend who explained to me what had happened. And how do you self soothe? That's the question for today. How do you self soothe? And well, I didn't do very well. I was in shock. I was in misery. I was in pain. I was suffering. I was, you name it. I didn't know what to do. So, how do you self soothe? Yeah, so I cried and I cried and I could not get out of my head. Now, here's the weird part. Again, I did it in real time. And then within a couple seconds, I'm going through and seeing, I'm going in and I'm seeing what's going to happen. And then I flash back, and then all of a sudden, I don't even know if I had, I think he was in the middle of asking me if I remember so and so from school that moved. And and all of a sudden it picked up right where I seen it in the vision, and everything went into slow motion. The talking, the sounds of the car, rev, rev. And I'm like, it was the weirdest, most, you know, I was so shocked about what I saw, so shocked about the fact it's happening, and I'm not even sure. And there was no way. And I remember being so angry. Why did you show me this if there's nothing I can do? Why would you? I'm screaming, blaming God. Now, again, I've learned that there's no reason to blame God, and there's a whole other story which I'm not going to get into. But at that moment, I was just a human being that couldn't stop the 41 thoughts that went into high beta, which now is doubled, if not tripled, and overthinking and worry and fear. But in that moment of that psychic vision, right after I had it, I had to live it. And it was the most slowest motion. I heard the police scanner. I grabbed it. I did the same movements. I remember the same way that the floor creaked as I ran upstairs. Everything was exactly the same. And as I'm waiting in between, watching and going, I just saw this. Oh, I just saw this. And I shut it down. I shut it down. After that, I shut it down. So, spirit was a way that I used to self soothe. I used to sing. I used to commune. I used to play and have fun with spirit. And at that moment, too much of a real thing, too much of a human thing had occurred. Y'all with me? And I was numb. I was numb and I kept yelling, why don't you come and visit me? I knew that he was dying or dead. I knew something, and we had to wait 9 days before they pulled the plug. I don't remember 2 weeks of that life. I remember more now, but for basically quite a few years, I don't remember. I didn't remember. And then how did I self-soothe? I was numb. I was numb. I did not know um, what to think, what to feel, how to be. My mother would have to get me to eat. Um, didn't shower. I was in his army coat. I stayed in that coat, and I was starting to feel or look dirty. But it's just like I don't remember too much. And how did you self-soothe? And well, I was over my friend's house, and I'm just sitting there in a blank stare because you just don't know how to think or feel. And those are the moments. That should be what I teach today. If you can recall that moment where you're just numb, and if I could get you to memorize, okay, you've got it, you memorized it. Now let's recall it, let's measure it, let's heal this out. And I didn't have these tools then. And instead, how did I self-soothe? Every day, my friend, for quite a few years, she'd always sneak a cigarette from her mother's and then say, do you want a cigarette? And I'll say no, constantly saying no. And that day, I remember, again, I remember it vividly. So those are the ones that you would have to heal. And I didn't say anything. I just grabbed it, lit it, and it was your brain is seeking a way for life to make sense. It is looking to help you survive. Life experience just happened to me. I did not know how to survive that. It was unscripted. Didn't have a protocol for that. What are you supposed to do? There's no way to self-soothe, nobody there. I mean, people can talk, but you can't hear. All you can do is feel, and then you don't even want to feel. And you're numb and you can't believe it. That's the biggest thing is you can't believe it. So I used a cigarette to help me survive. And is that was the device. That's the self-soothing tool. And then I didn't want that as I got older. I didn't want to smoke. I didn't want to. I already said a long time ago I never want to smoke because my whole family did, but I didn't want to. How do you self-soothe? I spent 2 years basically numb, graduated from school, went into college, which is not a problem, but it was accounting. And they said, see, and I loved the arts and I loved all these things. And I could have probably done sales, marketing. Now that I see how marketing is used, yeah, no, I wouldn't like how it's being used. And but I couldn't even connect with the the artistic side to, so accounting it was. And it was mind numbing. How do you soothe? Come on, talk to me, help me out. No, I didn't record. Thank God I can download it though. How do you soothe? Probably should record though. But how do you soothe? I know I have an audience out there somewhere. So, another defining moment was my mother. I was freshly married, moved 2.5 hours away, and I'd come home and visit every now and then. And as I do, I would. My mother wasn't feeling well, and so she asked me if I'd take her to the doctor. She didn't want to go alone, and I thought, well, okay, that's odd. So I drove home, took her to the doctor's, and he started to feel around, and we need to send you somewhere else. Hi. And so as they sent her somewhere else, and then all of a sudden it was like we had to have a biopsy, and the next thing you know, we're sitting in the oncologist office, and they're telling us that she has maybe a year and a half to live, and we're like, what? What? First of all, what? The big C word, what? There was no tools to help you self-soothe, and I remember being in such a state of shock. Um, and then, that's right, my mother. We heard the news as I was living on Depka Road in Ovid. That's right. And I hadn't quite moved yet because we were just in the process of buying a house and 2.5 hours away. And oh, yeah, that's right. I just remembered that. And wow. So, how did you self soothe? So, all I know is that I would lay in bed and I'd be sleeping, and all of a sudden I'd wake up and just crying so hard. And then I'd go to sleep, and then all of a sudden I'd wake up crying so hard. And what really got me to actually stop the crying was when the person I was with, oh, just get over it. She's going to die anyway. The cruelty of these words, because I was disrupting their sleep because they had to work in the morning. It pulled me away. So sometimes we use cruelty uh, and focus on the pain and the suffering to keep your mind off of something else. Somebody says they chew their teeth, they chew the cheek inside. How else do you self soothe? Your dog. You use music. How do you help self soothe someone else? Recently had someone let me know that a loved one is going to pass away and they just need me to hold space for them. And I said I would, and I did. And it's like there's not much I can do, but then I just held space. And if you understand that holding space sees them whole, so it's not like you um, it's so how I hold space is I see them whole, regardless if it means they're past to go to heaven or if they are, smooth transition or if they have a miraculous recovery. So I hold space, what's true to the soul. And I held true to the soul, and then I held space for the others so they could actually feel spirit giving them comfort. And even though I may never see these people or never be able to give them a hug, I know in that moment we shared a moment. So, how do you help? Art. Very good. And I realized that for me, it's spirit speak, helping others is a way to self soothe. I exercise is a good one. Taking a walk is a good one. But there are some that your brain is saying that's not going to work. Your brain is going to say, oh my gosh, we got to have life make sense again. We have to get back to some sense of normalcy, some sense of efficiency, because the scripted parts where you sleep, you get up, you get ready, you eat, you go to the bathroom, you go to work or school, or whatever you do, that's scripted. And the brain goes, yep, got that down, got that figured out. But when you feel like you can't, the brain says, uh-oh, something's wrong. And the brain says, well, we got to do this. And then, but if you're ignoring this, ignoring that, the brain, the subconscious mind is going, okay, we got to preserve this. We got to take care of this. We got to go into what can we do? What's an answer? And again, I didn't think cigarettes would ever been an answer. But there it was before me. And my brain was trying to help me figure out what's the best thing for me. It may not be the healthiest thing for me, but I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. And when I took that first puff, it was a little mind numbing. And it took that couple seconds, just a couple seconds, that my brain goes, oh, we have it. Feels like a hug. Everything feels great. There's no way to have to think about this. It created disrupt until it wears off. And even if it's just a couple of seconds, it's like, oh God, I don't want to go back to this nightmare. I don't want to do this. What do I do? And that ended up being the question, defining moments. What do you do with all of these negative things? These defining moments. So recently somebody asked me to do an interview, and I said, so they had all these sorts of questions, and what are these defining moments? And I have quite a few, but what one really stands out? And each one of these were such a unique way of defining not just one particular part of my life, but help sculpt me. How do I self-soothe now? I use a tool. I have to first recognize it, and then I use a tool. And then that's when I realized that we don't know how to self-soothe ourselves in a healthy manner, especially when something drama. People fight, people will teach another person a lesson. Those are actually coping tools. Learning how to do social skills and winning, and being right, that's actually a coping tool too. Because when you fall off the thing of love and something that's supposed to be good and healthy and strong, all of a sudden it's not. The brain says we have to get back to that. And if you are over-identifying with something that's very horrific, and the only thing that seemed to explain life was that the church would say, God created this, God created that. And you would always hear, well, if God did this, why did God do that? That just doesn't seem right. And it shakes your faith. And yet, something will bring you back. But it's in that space of when you have to blame. It's in that space when you fall so hard about that emotional thing. It wasn't just in the fact we didn't have any tools to self-soothe or help soothe others. Was the who do you need to over-identify? Do you need to blame? Do you need to take it out and have resentment and take it out in revenge? Or do you need to do that? And as I was watching all of these different things in my life, and then when you start to know the authentic truth within yourself, within your heart, within your soul, why are we over-identifying with matter so much that we become a program and let it help us decide how we're going to self-soothe? Now, getting me back to who I was, it took me 2 years. On the average, after a while, many years went past, I studied about the brain and how do we evolve and get over things. And it takes an average of 2 years for everything. And even though I moved over here in Adelaide and I was happy and I was good, but I was always going, oh, wow, I can't believe I'm here. My brain was like going, oh, wow, because my identity was back in Michigan for 40 some years. I knew those back roads. I knew those trees. I knew those, And even though I didn't have a lot of me here, you accumulate. It's an empty space. Part of who you are. You find things. Unless you're a constant shopper, then you buy things. But things would find its way here. People, friends, and all that, and garage sales and things. And, it's just those little things. And then you look around and you're like, God, I accumulated a lot. Now, a lot of people don't throw things away. I wait until they're completely broken and then I decide, time to throw them out. But it's the moment that I started, and my husband now said, you know what, we're going to get some stuff shipped over. And I said, okay, that was very expensive. But he's like, doesn't matter. We're going to do it. So my stuff arrived, and it's just old crap, right? A lot of clothes, a lot of, you know, I loved my books were there. A lot of things came in. And it was like Christmas. What made it over here? And it was like looking at this old stuff, but it was looking at my identity, the memories, the sentiment of value, this, that, and the other. And we when we have tragic things, it does change our identity, because if you are growing and you're told to move out forward, and you're supposed to maybe have to graduate and go to school, or that you have to do this or that or the other. And I loved always looking at Joan Rivers, because one of the things that she was supposed to do was that she was supposed to learn about finances. Her husband did everything, and she was madly in love with him, and he died. The one thing that she did not want to do, and was so thankful for her husband for, now she's faced with. Now here she is, she makes lots of money, but she don't know how to manage it. She was either forced to go and lose everything, or learn to everything about finances and, build on it more. And she had to learn that the hard way. So when you're supposed to learn something and you're refusing to learn it, eventually, because you're meant to learn it, it's going to either come at you with grace and ease, or it's going to come to you very hard and fast. So how is it that when you realize you're supposed to learn something, and you're like, when life tragedy begins to happen, it will smack you so hard that you can't go back to the old way of being, that identity, because the players are not there. Or if your house burns down, your stuff's not there, and you have to start over. How do you self-soothe? How do you self-soothe others? We just never really had a protocol. It was always done, figure it out for yourself, or, being left to your own devices. And we talk, and we gather minions, and we do all these things. And what I realized is that I needed an answer. And that became in a defining moment for me, because I seen all these things, but I couldn't see the thing that was about my purpose until my mother was diagnosed with cancer. And I would take my Bible, because at that point, now we've already moved, and my mother's going through this horrendous thing, and I'm going to be there for her. So I had my Bible, and I sat there, and I would read it and read it, and I saw this passage, and it was about if you believe and you lay hands on the sick, they'll recover. And it's like, okay, prove it to me. That ended up being it. Prove it to me. And we ended up seeing a faith healer, and he recognized something in me and gave me some books, and I started to read those. It was all about electrics and energy in the body, and all of these other little things that came up. Learned about herbs. I learned about, but it just wasn't the answer. And I said, prove it to me. Prove it to me. So now you jump, let's say from 1988, jump all the way to 1995. And I'm sitting in front of the television set, pregnant as can be. I think it was 8 months pregnant. And it said, up next, hands-on healing, Reiki. What? I just heard, it didn't even remember the word. All I heard was hands-on healing. And so the word was very foreign to me. And it was, oh my God, God's proven it to me. And I could not get a VHS tape to get into the VCR, because all the ones I had something I didn't want to record of it, like, my child's birth, or my wedding, or, we're like, oh my God, my favorite stuff. Oh no, I can't. So I just sat there and listened, sat there and listened. And Reiki, I didn't even know how to spell it. I spelled it like you would a rake. And I put the E at the end. And I'm like, what's this? What's this? And I said, okay, God, you answered me. I need more information. And, and I lived by synchronicities. I lived by serendipity. I lived that. And so I knew Spirit was always talking to me. And then I get this little card that says, Brenda, and they spelled my husband's name wrong, and I laughed. I said, well, isn't that funny? Now that stood out. They spelled his name wrong. That stood out. And I looked at this postcard and it said body, mind, and spirit. I'm like, what the heck's this? I never left the house, never talked to anybody. I don't even know how they would have even gotten my name. Now, in religion, that to which I'm doing today, at the time it was, can't let God know I'm doing that because that was wrong. This is what was being preached. New Age stuff is evil, blah, blah, blah. And so, but in my heart and in my soul, that connection that I had when I was a kid, before I shut it off at 16, it was, you know, this is God. This is it. This is your spirit. This is everything. And then when I turned it back on, I think it was I had to for my mother's sake, right? I begged. I says, I need help. And so I started to turn the synchronicities and the serendipities and all of these things in. They turned them on. But I had to find the answer, the answer, the answer to cancer, the answer to make her happy, the answer. But I still didn't quite understand the question, except for the fact is prove it to me that there is hands-on healing. Prove it to me. So a person can be better. How does a person really get better? Sometimes it is just a bit the fact that they can return to love. And this is all before the internet, before you could go, hey, Google, and then, look things up. I'm grateful for those moments because I could see how I was zeroing in and in a direction that I would never thought I'd go down, especially because I had my Bible. And by the third time, I couldn't sleep. Half the time I couldn't sleep because of my, just constant state of worry with my mother. And I'm looking through and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll start over. And this time I'm going through and going, okay, I know this. And then all of a sudden it was like it was man's words disappeared. And what seemed to be left kind of rearranged itself, that it kept talking about energy. And it talked about love. And it talked about, these are lessons, these are parables, these are this, these are that. And it wasn't just saying this equals this. And I'm looking going, what? I get to Revelations and I'm like, we haven't evolved. We haven't evolved. We threw God off the planet. I need to go in here. And I thought it was already in there. But I kept looking out here. And then I had to learn that I needed to go in here. So here I could no longer be. I loved the Bible. I was going to become a reverend, and then I find out they don't believe in women being in charge at that time or doing any of that. So I thought, there goes my dream. And then I am a reverend of metaphysics, but it was these moments that if I had gone down the traditional same route, I would still probably be very limited, believe what I was told, and not. And how do you self-soothe? And all of these moments that I would be communing with God, I would just say, thank you. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Moving from thank you, Spirit, to thank you, from thank you, God, to thank you, Spirit. Oh my God, all of my religious friends would be like, they're asking questions. They were looking at me funny. And I said, so what is wrong? with love. Spirit is love. And they're like, no, it's not. And yet, wait, what? And so I lost a lot of friends that were into that because I didn't believe in Jesus jamming. I believed in witnessing what God did for me, how to look at serendipity and synchronicities and how to commune and communicate. And it was I was in the middle of changing friends. And I didn't have a lot of friends in the first place, but how do you cope with this? But I was so okay because my knowing was that as long as I have this joyful happiness with spirit, it didn't really matter that I didn't have physical friends so I could gossip or, oh my God, can I help you? And they're like, oh, this is my daily stuff. And because I had already gone through that, where I had a friend call me every day complaining about their loved one and how they hate their life and how they want to commit suicide and blah, blah, blah. And then finally, Spirit goes, why do you just do that? You're doing her a disservice. And so I said, I don't know if you know this. We're supposed to be close friends. I said, but this is what I do. So I told her what I do and all of that. And she's like, oh, yeah, yeah, and never heard from her again. It was a year later when I did. But Spirit says, you're not hiding who you are. Because I was always told that what I do, I have to discourage or I have to give one word. Yeah, what do you do? Metaphysics. Okay, wait for them to ask. And if they don't ask, you don't go any further. Because somebody asked me a question about what I do. And so I said, well, it's simple. And then yet it has a story with it. And so what I realized, even though I was telling them, you got to, people are going, she's crazy. And I'm like, you're not my people because you were just talking and asking, but you weren't really asking. You didn't really want to know. You were just trying to make short, small talk. And I thought, why do I keep doing this? So the question is, how do you self-soothe? And the more that I've learned these tools, I was told to pass it on. How can you answer these questions? And the thing is do you like chewing the inside of your teeth? And of art, of course you like art, but can you do art without having to self-soothe? You can just do art because you want to. Is it a chore or do you have to wait? Like when some people say, oh yeah, I like makeup sex. Well, in order to have makeup sex, you have to have a fight. You have to have something trauma or drama before you can have that type of quality. So there's hobbies and things, or there's those moments. How do you call a friend? How do you? Hi, Teresa. Um, Wonderful. Have a great. Oh, thank you, Amber. Hi. At the time of the VH I needed to get a couple of those to convert it to digital. Yeah, I lost quite a few things, but then again, do I look at it as loss or do I look at it as it's not? I don't need that anymore, and I obviously don't need that anymore because, like when I had that my business building, all the stuff got caught on fire. It was not really my identity anymore. And so I had to accept the fact is that it's gone. Okay. Well, hopefully you've gotten something out of this. How do you self-soothe? If you're tired of self-soothing the old way or you don't think that it's working anymore, there's a tool you can use. There's protocols you can use. There's a different way of helping yourself or helping others. Now, don't force it onto others. They got to come to the realization they want it. Don't try to teach them a lesson. Don't try to force it. Learn a little and respect. But for you, my GPS is set to joy. And when anything in life throws that's unscripted is thrown at me, and it's a little bit topsy-turvy, I don't need to go to the reckless state. My brain and I have had an agreement that it's like, okay, let's apply a tool. And I do. And I can get to my turnaround times just like that. I process death differently. I process unscripted things differently. And I don't have to have it so dramatic that it has to throw me off. I am paying attention. I heal it as it comes. I learn on a whisper. I am learning how to not just be living in synchronicity and serendipitous, but I'm learning to have my inner world where I get to see my choice points, and I can take care of them right then and there, and learning to make decisions. You know how the hardest thing is your body, especially your gallbladder meridian, is how you can't make decisions. Okay. And you have to decide. Now, if your videos are that important, thank you, Spirit, you'll find a way. And it can be fun. You can find a way. You get information and you do it. You do it. Okay. So, who's here? Talk to me. I know Amy's coming on, and everybody else. It is November. Can you believe it already? And I enjoy that every day I get to get up and feel alive and learn all the time. Hi, Ames. How you doing? So, how can I be of service? How can I help? Because we can have people come, we can help people come, but how do we get others to wake up? How do we get there? How do we, hold space? How do we do things? I used to just constantly give it away for free, and I created junkies. And then when I stopped giving it away for free, and I still gave a lot away, nobody was there. So it's like, how do we do this energy exchange? How do we help people? Because the last thing you need to do is get burnt out. So how do you do things? How do you self-soothe? Hi, Sarah. How do you self-soothe? And does it still serve you doing what you're doing? Or you're like, nope. And I've seen a lot of people having to deal with their thoughts. And when you love something you don't want to do anymore because you know it's very unhealthy for you, you have to break up with that relationship as well. And so there are tools to help you self-soothe. So you don't always have to feel like you're fighting your demons as well. You can change this. Yes, I'm very thankful for that, Autumn. Yes, very good. Very good. Okay, well, I hope you got to see the difference of these statements of self-soothing. We never were really taught because nobody really knew. We are coming to this age where we can do something about it, and we can do it in a much more healthier manner. So Devin says, I've just been bored and lonely recently, I think. Even though I live with family, I still feel that. Well, when I look at this, what is it that you need to find a purpose for? Because when you start feeling bored, the ho-hums, it is basically you're not being able to be connected and just hear spirit move you. So this is where you'd say meditate. This is where you would, get back into the seventh plane. This is where you allow yourself to be. Now, in that state of boredom, you can go back to your programs, or you can just sit there and say, thank you, Spirit, and be guided and look for it and train yourself to see how you can be something greater than where you are. And yes, I know it sounds like, oh, I'm bored and lonely, but I live with my family. But people are individuals, and they are meant to individually become independent. And when you begin to see each other, Are you supposed to do things with them? I don't know. But then when you get yourself connected up, you'll feel more motivated instead of always feeling discouraged because we over identify with one thing or another. And one of the things I had to face in my life was that I was discouraged. The people in my family, if they really thought they didn't want to participate or they want to talk, they would discourage me, and I would believe that that's what I would have to be, and so I learned to do it to myself, and that one was something I had to really see so that I could just say no. I don't want to discourage myself. I'm done discouraging myself. I don't need to do this like that, if that makes sense. So, how do we discourage ourselves? And do you have these programs? And I feel that in some cases, yes, we do. That was like the other thing I wanted to talk about was like my body was like, oh, you shouldn't do that. And I was listening, going, why? Well, because you're going to inconvenience somebody, or you're going to have them give you a talking to, or, my body was acting like, no, don't do it. And I says, well, why am I discreet? And that's that self sabotage card. So why am I doing that? And then when I had to heal out that how I identified discourage, either I hear it from the environment or I interpret it as being discouragement, or I discourage myself. So I had to look at it 3 different ways. I had to measure it 3 different ways. And it helped me change when I used the tool and applied the tools, and I didn't have to see it that perspective that way. I used to self-soothe by escaping reality. And that is a big statement to the point. Wonder if I can, I don't think I can. To the point, nope, I thought I could. But yes, escaping reality. That is very enlightening because that's exactly what we do. We want to escape that reality that's happening over and over with our 41 thoughts per minute, and it just doesn't go away. And your brain is saying, we have to get you back to some form of normalcy or something to help you handle this thing. Because this reality here is something you just don't know how to self soothe, cope, handle, deal, manage, pacify. And so we will self soothe by escaping reality, whether it is through a book, which can be good, through art, but sometimes it is through smoking or eating or overthinking or over loving or over worrying or going to the extremes. But when we do, that was our normalcy. But in this day and age, we shouldn't have to escape reality. We want to build a home where we don't have to run from, inside and in a physical situation, or self-destructive behavior. Yes, again, it is, if I can't do it out there, I have to do it to myself. That is so true. We do these things. Someone says, a part of me just wants to live in another world since I find this one boring. Yes. And when you have this, you are meant to seek things that give you purpose, to find out who you are. But if you've been told for so long you can't, or being discouraged, or how you live through other people's lives because you have to, you forget that you were born in this body and that your free will is to use your will a way you want, not how a will is being told to be used into self-sabotage, into behave, into this. And you're like, oh, and you just create this destruction within you and you don't even realize it. But we are healing past the saboteur, the archetype of the saboteur, finding purpose. So when I was in those states and I didn't want any of them, I said, so what's my purpose? And I even said to God, I said, look, I can't handle this anymore. I says, you got to give me purpose. And then Spirit goes, hey, you're pregnant. I'm like, ouch, what? No. But then it's like, I'm choosing my purpose. I'm going to try this. Nope, don't like it. Try this. Nope, don't like. Oh God, yeah, that I want to do. And it was healthy and it was nourishing. But we have to be able to see these differences. Yeah, and so somebody says, well, when I'm in when I need to self-soothe, I pay attention. Like something will just hit me and tears will just appear. And sometimes those are hidden stories. And if you can use that and go, okay, something just hit me, I can measure this. Okay, great. And I can, how do I self soothe? You know, crying is fine. But sometimes it needs to be released more than that, maybe on a physical level. But you're helping yourself look and break up with the spiritual issues, which are the programs that cause you to stop evolving. You know, so how you look at it, does it create limitations? Does it cause you to sacrifice yourself? And you got to decide. You know, you have to decide. Okay, so I believe we have a reading, and that is Miss Autumn. What would you like? I would like to. Okay, so you said I would like to disappear in my mind when I was a kid. Yes, because the environment, this is the thing about it, you and Davin, it's the environment. I remember how much I hated boredom. And one day I had to heal this. So if you guys know what boredom feels like, you can measure, yes? Oh God, you know, yeah, I can see it. I'm experiencing it. Well, if you are having that extreme boredom, then what I want you to do is to hold left wrist third position deep, extreme boredom. Okay, begin to heal yourself in that fashion. Um, hold on, I gotta find the big screen because there it is. Um, hmm, okay, there it is. Amber says, yes, motherhood gave me purpose too. I was asking God the same questions and I became pregnant as well. Happened to me twice. I thought I need, then I started getting tools in my life. Yeah, I got to take care of this. Best gift I was given was being a mom. I love you too. And, but at the same time, I knew that when they go to school, I'm going to have to answer this question. You know, again, what do I do? Robin says, now I go within and listen to and hold points and tap. Yeah, because there's a tool. And it doesn't that feel more nicer and just that you have a go to? I felt so lost and so much in despair, so much that life was going to swallow me up in the pains and in the sufferings and in the things that my life, I looked around, my life was great. I had kids, a husband, everything. And yet I felt this safety, security, stability, sanity, surrounding space just out the window. None of them were balanced. And out of the blue, I'd want to cry. And there would always be these triggers and things like this. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. And these were happening even in the scripted moments, but they were also happening in the unscripted. And then when life would show up, and all of a sudden I couldn't even show up to the unscripted part because I was stuck in this particular memory, this into this past. And I and then I said, you got to give me more purpose. You got to help me because I don't understand this. And when you watch people get older, they lose their purpose. And we just watched a movie last night, and it was an Argentina movie, and this lady, she was 84 or something like that, and her kids were like, oh, well, you know, they pretty much wanted her to hurry up and die so they can get their inheritance. And they were saying, oh, she parties and she has sex and she does all this and she shouldn't be. They had a picture in her mind of how she should be and how she should spend their money, even though it was her money. And they threw her into an insane place, thinking, you know, hey, we're trying to say she has dementia, blah blah blah. And in the end, she got out of there, and in the end, this guy investigated as much as he could and gave his report. Now everybody was telling him, no, you have to give this report that she is insane, and everybody was getting a cut but him. And but he won, and she won, and she went on to live to be 104. And so now they're old. They can't even use her money now. I mean, they were stealing pieces from her house because they were afraid that she was going to give them to her artsy fartsy friends, which was just hilarious. Okay, so Miss Autumn, you ready? Is there anything particular? Because I feel you're doing great. And, so we're going to look at what can we help you do? Where can we have you go? That puzzle piece on TikTok, if you don't get it just right, just you're screwed. Oh, it was a good movie. What was it called? Oh, good Lord. If I remember it, I'll let you know. But it was good because it wasn't, I'm like, go, lady, go. She had a purpose. That's where I was going with this. She had a purpose. And they kept telling her, no, your purpose, you're too old for that purpose. And they kept telling her and kept telling her. And she's like, screw you. It's my money. It's my life. I'm not going to. They even house arrested her to the point where she wasn't allowed to have any visitors. And all her friends were artsy fartsies. All her friends, and she was into, she didn't do it anymore. When she was younger, she did, but it was, you dance, you had sex, you took drugs, you did this, you expressed yourself, you made art, you did these things. She always supported this art community. And they're telling her, you are this age, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So what we think you're doing, because you're eccentric, is that we have to, you're doing it wrong. And she's like, no. And they had her try to convince her that she was crazy. Anyway, so find your purpose. Do what you love. Now, Autumn, are you ready? So we're going to look at what her soul wants. And what I do here is I just look at my computer screens and inside my mind's eye. And one of the things they're telling me is that your body has been looking at stuff that would look like it would be overwhelming to others. And it may look like chaos to others, but it's actually self-soothing to you. Now, is anybody telling you that you're doing it wrong lately? No, no. I feel like you're also growing to the point where what you were used to, which was the negativity, the criticism, all this, and you've grown so much that a part of you is like going, okay, it doesn't feel right. So you're learning who are you without the negativity. So there will be things that you need to do that seems like, I have to add more stuff. So that's good. You're learning to live life in an expression way. So what I'm seeing is that there's a part of you that is waking up to, and you haven't got quite the epiphany, but how people actually speak and talk is their normalcy. But your normalcy is your joy and your peace. And part of you wants to go back to connect with people that live in that particular type of world, which is a lie to you because you cannot be that frequency anymore. And yet at the same time, you're in that transition of, okay, what do I do? And I said, well, what else do you want her to know? And they go, well, there's a lie that you're supposed to. So here's the thing, you picked it up about maybe 2 months old, and you watched how people communicated with other people. And what it was simple. It was, I can't tolerate that person. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, you at 2 months old are only absorbing. You're not, you don't know any difference yet. Oops, it's going to cancel if I don't get it taken care of. Oops. Unable to try again. Okay, so here we go again. I got to fix this puzzle piece. And there we go. All right, now here you are. You are like, but that's where you have to wake up and go, wait a minute, whoa, 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 whoa. What's right for you is not always right for me. So you're constantly going, what would you do? What would you do? What would you do? And you got to stop asking those that are not at the level, at the frequency you're at anymore. Yeah, you can, if you're like, that's my social skill, I'm supposed to connect to that level. That's how we talk. That's how we bonded. But the way you talk, like, hey, Brenda, oh, so and so really bothered me. Oh, God, yeah, yeah, yeah. and I'm like, oh, really? How is that true? And 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 then we have a conversation. Well, we're going there. We're creating stories. We take a little bit of the truth, but then we're twisting it, and then we're making it into something, and that is not who you really are anymore. So as you become more of a spiritual being, more of a heart brain coherence, it isn't just so that you can hang out and talk about, oh, that person drives me crazy. It is supposed to be, oh my gosh, who are they in the past? Oh, and you're learning, and you're like, okay, I need to heal that because I can feel the emotions. But one of the things that is causing you to do certain behaviors is that you're supposed to tolerate. I can't tolerate them. Oh, look at that, the color of the skin. I'm not supposed to tolerate that. Again, these are programs when you're little. Oh, look at the color of their hair. Oh, I'm not supposed to tolerate them. Oh, yes, the movie is 27 Nights. How did you know? Did you ask my husband? And then over here, you are, you know, and who and where did you learn this? Okay, who and where did you learn this? Because you are meant to look at how Autumn, the spiritual being, and learn and respect. And when you start to see that you're supposed to not tolerate because they're male, or you're not supposed to tolerate because they come from the other side of the tracks, or the limitations, you're not supposed, and then right down into your room where you were so nerved up that somebody could be chewing, you can't tolerate that. So now all of a sudden it becomes your thing where you can't stand people chewing because you can't stop focusing on it. And you're not there for your brain. You're not there for it. Your brain needs you. Your brain needs you as a spirit to show up and say, wait a minute, do I need to put all of the idea that, oh, because the doctor told me I had this and I'm doing this and I'm supposed to focus, I just can't make it stop. Yes, you can. You can self-soothe this. You got to first make that life choice of saying, do I need to go there? Does it always have to be true? Is that my story? Is that the story I need to tell? When you're in a situation like that, you're like, God, that's getting my nerves. Stop. Be the spirit being and go, how do you know that? I'm going to measure that. I'm going to stare it down. It may be over here, but I'm looking here, but I can see it with my mind's eye. You need to heal it with your mind's eye. You need to heal it with that heart brain coherence. And then you're going to do it accordingly. So, how would you heal this intolerance? First, you have to first wake up to how you're using and how you're told, like the stuff I just said. And then you're going to start looking at L2S, left wrist, second position, soft, so that you can go, wait a minute. But you have to look how you're taught that you're not supposed to tolerate it. No, you're not. You can't. You're not allowed. You have, no, okay? So you'll have different perspectives on this one. This will be like one of your big ones that as you wake up, you're going, wait, I don't need to think this, hear this, say this, be this, whatever. Okay? Your grandparents. Okay. But it is looking at all the angles, the puzzle pieces. All the puzzle pieces, okay? Well, that's good. Now I'm trying to open up my thing here. There we go. Hopefully you guys are learning and looking at this. And sometimes I'll have stories and then they'll just play out with people that have your broadcast have ended. How did that happen? And that was on Facebook. Was that a message for me? Oh, I feel like this is more of autumn. Okay. So one of my medias just shut down for whatever reason. And but it wasn't for me, it was for you, I think. And as I'm looking at this, I said, so when things shut down, they're showing me your nervous system begins to shut down. And it's not to repair. It is supposed to keep going in the shutdown stage and decompose and well, your spirit's too much alive. Ain't gonna let you do that. And this is good for you, because then it's like, instead of, because now you're learning to say what about me, where you weren't allowed to say that. Everybody was supposed to say what about me, but you weren't allowed to say it. You're supposed to sacrifice to some degree. So I did see someone new in here. Safri. I'm gonna butcher that. You're juggling a lot in life, huh? Are you still present? Are you still here? Because if you want a free reading, you can have one, because you have not had one from me before. This is all about, how do you self-soothe? How do you look at life? Take your question, we can measure it, and then giving you a tool. And I'll walk you through the tool so that you can apply it, so that it can help change the brainwave, help you change the body. You're doing all the work. I'm not. I'm just helping you understand how your soul is trying to help you grow, learn, and move forward. So, but if you like a lot of drama, that's fine. My PayPal is B Power. I think it's bpower.mw. Let me look. I know it so well, but do you think I knew it? bpower.mw@dr.com. Or you can go paypal.me/reading11, which is right there. So paypal.me/reading11, not with an S on it. And if it doesn't come out Brenda Power, then, oh yeah, I forgot to turn that around. Good one, Davin. That was the other thing I forgot. Now let's see if we can get it correct. There you go. Is that better? Don't think I can make it bigger. Oh, look at that. I didn't know I could do that in TikTok. Check that out. Okay, I better turn this one on. Normally, I get a message saying you need a mirror. But thank you, Devin. Thank you. There we go. But it should say Brenda Power or B Power or something like that. Because otherwise it comes up a guy's name. That's not it. Right again. Oh, let's get back to the right screen. Yes, okay, yep. There we go. And I would love one, but I'm still at work. Currently on break. I would love to next. Well, if you want one, here's the thing. I can just take and you can rewatch it on YouTube. You can find all the videos or anything, even if I did give you a reading later. You can watch it again. I should do my show once a week. That's up to you. Oh yeah, you guys have had in your being in the United States, you sprung backward, or you fell backwards. So you fell backwards. Is that correct? So your time is an hour behind. And so, yeah, so tribal will be the same as I have it, unless we have a discussion. Just slightly crooked. I haven't been liking the time. You haven't been. Is it physical, or is it just the same old belief system? I remember growing up, and one of the things was, oh, I hate this. Oh, I lose time. And they really would, I mean, their drudgery or their dread or their way was to always listen to how other people talk. And they learn social skills that you're supposed to hate the time change. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. And it's like, well, we're supposed to hate these people that made the change. And do we have to anymore? Well, we have it for so many reasons, and that's the thing. We forgot it. And they say it's mostly because of the farmers or something. But all I can tell you is, like, I don't even remember which way is supposed to be which now. I know that we sprung ahead, and boy, did I miss the sun And now we get to have the sun, and I think it's 8 o'clock now that it's starting to stay light out. And so, shut that off. But there was a reason, and we just have to decide, do we want to keep complaining, or do we want to define life on our terms? Now, I was always taught that you always have to have impending doom. You're supposed to have, to fit in the crowd, you're supposed to believe the way everybody else thinks. And I just don't want to do that anymore. I just don't. You don't have to. So how do you self-soothe? How do others self-soothe? A lot of people don't realize that they can change how they learned to self-soothe. You know what I mean? Okay. Oh, I'm like, what's happening to my screen there? Just went all wonky. We're going to bring on Amy. It had to do with World War I and II. Yeah, I remember it was being told it was the farmers as well. Let's see. But either way, the point is that it happens. Now we can either hate it, or we can just go with it and not put any meaning to it. You don't really have to put somebody else's meaning to it. You don't even have to do those meanings. You don't have to. Okay, let's find. I have to keep remembering they changed the way that you get to talk in Messenger on desktops. There we go. Brain is learning something new. Did much smoother transitioning on that. Very good. Let's see here. As we bring Amy in. There she is. Here she comes. Well, somebody else was paid, and her name is Michelle. That was the one on this screen, I think. I will get to you. Hang in there. I just got your payment, so hang in there. Now, when I do give a reading and you want to re-listen to it again, you just go over to YouTube, Medicine Woman Solution. That's SOULTION. So, Chronic Michelle, I will be with you as soon as I'm done doing this. You can't see it, but you're going to be able to hear my guest. Hello, Miss Amy.
Hello, Miss Brenda. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And how are you?
I'm good. I don't know what it was like a wave of something hit me. I don't know what it was, but it like sat there for a minute and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have to go there.
So, we always have something one way or the other because we have these sensories.
Mhm.
We have a lot of sensories, not just your regular five. We have our sensories. And so when something gets triggered, which means you've experienced it before, and your body says that I'm supposed to cry, take offense, be hurt, or be sad, it's always in the negative aspect. That means you have a lesson that needs to be addressed. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And so you're asking, like, I didn't go there, which is what we said. How do you self soothe? The first thing is I don't need to go there. It's not suppressing it. Did you suppress it?
No.
No, you saw it come up and you're like, yeah, I don't have to follow that.
Right.
Right. And that's what I would tell people, because when you realize that you've done a lot of healing, you do not have to sit there and keep doing it. Like when I dropped the fork and I started complaining, and Spirit said, do you really want to keep doing that? I'm like, what? And then it dawned on me, I just spent a lot of exerted energy complaining about the dropping this fork. And I'm like, no, I don't have to. Well, I don't need to go there again. So then the next time I drop my fork, I go a 1 and a 2. So apparently I needed to exercise instead of going in all that. But what came up? What is a trigger? So spiritually, you're in charge going, I'm aware something got my attention and I could have so gone there, but I don't want to. So I'm going to learn how to do it with grace and ease. And I said, okay, so you're learning on the whisper. And they said, under pressure. I said, is this right now or is this upcoming events? It's upcoming events. And um, you are displaying how you're supposed to be your parent. So, how would your parents begin to handle life
Dread,
to dread? Okay.
anxiety. Yeah.
Okay. So, then the question is, how do you want to do it? Have you been doing it? Do you want to do that program anymore?
No, I don't want to do that program anymore.
Okay. So instead of just looking at under pressure, we're going to look at how you displayed yourself as a parent. And they said the first one is going to be R1S, that you, in simple terms, your body says, my territory is being encroached on, and I don't want that. So, okay, so somebody in your today gave you something and they wanted something in return. It was a territorial thing. It's something that maybe didn't reveal itself. I will go ahead and write that for you. Just give me a second. Was there a hidden agenda behind that?
No.
Really? So they did it at the kindness of their heart, and they're not going to ask in a week or so in something in return.
Um, what it was for was payment for helping them.
Okay. All right. So it was a payment. Now, is there a pan that you have to return?
Yes.
Stay in connection.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your normal relationship that you had before. So you can trust them 100%. They won't take and crip upon your territory or mad because you didn't show up a certain way and then say mean things, which again is territorial. I'm in
Oh yeah.
charge.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying that they're in your space, do they always want to demonstrate to some degree that they're in charge?
Yeah.
Okay, so do they use kind gestures, not just to be kind gestures, but an ulterior motive?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, again, I'm not trying to feed her. I'm trying to get her to understand what her brain sees as normal. And then later on, she'll go, why did I fall for it?
Yeah. Why did I fall for it?
Okay. And so, again, this is no big deal, but the body is saying it's triggered. Now, that's not the actual trigger, but it says there's a lot of these triggers.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, if you were to focus on how all of a sudden you wanted to get teared up and you wanted to cry and what was going to happen. And again, you're supposed to learn how to self-regulate, and it has to do with their jealousy, and you're under pressure to perform. So you're not just doing it with one person. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you can feel how that territory is being crossed.
Mm-hmm. One more too.
Okay. And you're like, but I don't want to do that anymore. So when you, as a spirit, are starting to become aware that you do these things, and I don't. Is there a certain regret on your part, or is it just so you can get in the state of dread? I have to have something to dread about, so I've got to create a situation.
A little bit of both, I think.
Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Because you're going to call it in. Your inner world creates your outer world. So if your inner world is saying, oh, I know life is being dreadful, and nobody's doing anything to be dreadful, then you're going to have to create something that you actually don't like.
Mm-hmm.
You can re-experience being in dread,
Yeah.
and you have to decide, how do you want to define this relationship or these things. Does that make sense?
It does.
Now, notice how easy peasy it is for you just to. So, the weird part is that I will say, "Oh my God, yeah, come over anytime." Do I'm excited in the moment. Oh, don't be afraid to ask for anything. I'm excited in the moment. And then if I really look at myself, it's like, oh, please don't ask because I don't want to be bothered. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy, but yet I'm not. So you got a couple different sides of you that
Uh-huh.
coming out.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at another thing. You're supposed to make all these commitments and then dread that you made them. That's another way of putting it. Did your parents do that?
Oh my God, yes. My dad
But
did all the time.
but they did it because they are supposed to be holding up a certain like a socialite
Mm-hmm.
status, but yet they hated it
Uh-huh.
because their life was not good and they didn't want people to know that about themselves.
Correct.
So we got several layers here that you um, are going through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as she's beginning to focus, she's measuring it. Can you give me a measurement?
A 2,
And it was.
way above a 10.
Now, this is part of how you do your protocol. You're like, I know this story, and instead of getting stuck with it and keep repeating it, you can focus on the feeling. It's not you don't go in to go, oh, it's because of this, because of that, because of this, conclusions, conclusions,
Mm-mm.
excuses, reasonings. It does. You're saying to yourself, I don't want to resolve it. But if you can just get into the feeling of the knowing of how this is, and you're holding the points on your head and your wrist, there's a part of you that the body will start to heal itself. And in doing so, she knows that it's gone down to a 2, not be going, oh, it's a wishful thinking. She's feeling it on all these levels instead of just the surface level. She's looking at the picture. She's probably repeating in her head the 41 thoughts per minute about that situation.
I just
And,
keep hearing, I don't wanna, I don't wanna, I don't wanna.
now, notice that when you make the parents or whoever made a commitment, then how much they complained about it afterwards. It just ruined their whole day.
Uh-huh.
And it's when you look, you can feel how, why did you say yes? Why did you do this? Yeah,
Under pressure.
under pressure. What was the first word that we first said?
Under pressure.
Under pressure. So now you can begin to see how, I'm supposed to have these socialite skills. I'm supposed to say this. I'm supposed to do this. But deep down, if I don't want to do them. But if you didn't, here's the other part is that if you didn't do these things, you would be alone, depressed, or you're going to be just fine. But yet, when you get caught up in the moment and you say yes to things,
Mm-hmm.
there, that's where I want you to go now. She's got a whole different measurement. Do L2S. Now, this is where you're supposed to, yes. And this is where you're tolerating them. I'm tolerating them. Oh, this is awesome. This is fun. And then you say things that you wish you wouldn't have said. And this is nice things, agreeing with, doing things. Um, and I feel like that woman would
Mm-hmm.
always do this to you. Okay. And there'd be this fun and excitement. And then
Uh-huh.
you're agreeing.
Yeah.
And you do this with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
that this habit, this personality of joy, measure the joy, measure the excitement, measure the bonding, measure the, this feels good. I want you to measure the joy. This isn't negativity. This is the, this feels right. This feels great.
An 8.
Okay, now sit in that. Sit in that joy. Sit in that. Why would you want to heal out joy? Well, you would if it's connected to something that you were supposed to do. And you're like, this is exciting. You haven't healed enough of your pains and your sufferings to understand. But at the same time, even if you have, you also have to heal out the excitements because we have social skills. Or we may have been so depressed that we're connecting with somebody that feels good, but it's not with the same person that you really want, but yet it's like this is what you're used to. But what you're doing is copying what your parents did. And there's no AY in that at all.
Mm-mm.
So when the false self-assuredness is linked up to a negative something, placebo or negative, which is nocebo, then you're going to create a topsy-turvy type of relationship. And there will be this underlining thing that I'm supposed to have a certain amount of dread in my life. Well, in order to get certain dread, you got to have certain excitement. So this is where you are attached to excitement and dread. So you will say yes to things you wish you didn't. And some people, then you get to the point where you're easily convinced, or people can easily influence you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there, you just went into the picture of where your face was smiling, going, yeah. And then later on, you're like, oh, crap. Nothing wrong. It's just the point is that these patterns we picked up as from our family. Make sense? Oh, you just shifted on something and you glitched on my screen. That was weird. Um, okay, so they're telling me that a lot of times you would get really bored, ho hum, disconnected from spirit, and you just was looking to connect with people because you couldn't connect with spirit. You're connecting more with spirit now than you ever have. So old patterns are need to be addressed,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what you used to call, oh look, I have family, I have friends, and you'll get really bored, get really ho hum, get really sad, and all of a sudden you have to have these people in your space because it had to, you're addicted to, that's the answer to take care of this particular feeling. And this feeling is I can't tolerate being disconnected, thinking it was just from people. But what you really can't tolerate is being disconnected from love, spirit, which is two different things. That make sense?
Oh yeah.
What number are you?
It's
Okay.
really high.
Okay. Well, your time's up. But I'm gonna just shut down the camera and then I'm gonna go answer this one question, okay? All right. So we're gonna let's see if we can stop video and then we have to mute you. There, you did that. Okay, so let's go over to Michelle. Um, what is it you wanted me to help you look at? What is it that you wanted me to look at from the soul's perspective? And thank you for waiting. I don't think you wrote it down. No. My question is, should I try to go get closer to where I grew up? Okay, she wants to know if she can do that. All right. So we're going to look at where Spirit is telling me where you're at. There's a very particular feeling, And this feeling is sometimes you feel helplessness. Okay. And I said, now, if she goes back, she's asking very simply, should I get closer to where I grew up? And it says, in some cases, yes, but your physical body was always on the chase. So the question is why'd you move? So the thing that comes up, and the feeling that's coming up is this: if you left because you felt broken, don't ever run back to what broke you. Now, if you do, you will have to look at a set of things that you have to process out, certain emotions, certain things, so that you can evolve. Okay. So as I look, I'm looking again. I said out of 100%, it said, yeah, 60% is yes, you need to go back or go closer so that you can get that comfort of not feeling this negative feeling of helplessness. So have you been feeling helpless, like whether you couldn't do something or you can't do something for someone else? So that would be like my first question, because there is this just these negative emotions that is inside of you that are vibrating. And I feel like what you had when you learned about 5, 6 years old, more closer, I guess, to 6 years old, it was simply was learned helplessness. And that is like reward and punishment stuff. And so the confidence of you doing something, you're going, nope, I can't because they will tell me no, or I can't because and then usually it's because you don't realize that you now have to do things without getting a reward with it. Some extremes of abuse could be, well, you're not going to get this unless you do this. And usually there's this payoff, and you may have to suffer until you're fine, fine. And then you go and you do it, and then you're supposed to get this reward. Yeah, it feels dead here, and I have felt extra helpless here, but very depressed. Aha! Okay, so the very first thing is that you're listening to an old program that's given you this answer. So what it's saying to you is this: your Einstein says you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. So the mind that created it and the one that's doing this, it was about 6 years old, and it felt very deficient. And so now you're in this situation, and it is, I have to go back to the first way that I solved it. I haven't found people that connected without here. People are very different. Okay, so I'm going to ask now, is the location she chose, is this going to help her evolve? And they said no. Does she need to find a new location with like-minded people to draw in? And they said yes. And does it have to be where she grew up? No. Can it be a little closer? It could be. Yes. But I do feel like you're meant to find. So I had moved to a small town in Indiana, and I lived in Michigan, and I was like, oh, this is great. And I opened up a business, but I could not connect. And the people I were connected with were just so false, and they wanted things, and then they were trying to screw me. I'm like, what is this? And it was just no. So I had to move from there to another town, in which was way better, way better. Okay. But finding people that are more like-minded as you, and that, so that I would also then say, let's take care of your depression. They go, let's take care of the fact that she is believing. Oh, so you have lofty people in your space. Did you have people that believe you couldn't do it? And the reason why is because I feel like you are doing your best to achieve something against how somebody says, "Oh, give it 10 days," or I feel like you had someone in your past that just didn't believe in you, and there's a part of you, I think, that's weighing on them, on your decision and on your mind as well, because you have a lot going on. I says, is your spirit connected to your body? So like, no. Do you want your spirit connected to your body? Yes. When did it disconnect? About 6 years old. And I felt very deficient at 6 years old. So your 6-year-old wants to heal, because you just keep feeling everybody's invading energies, and therefore you keep repeating this history. So I said, all right, so if you want to, because the time's up now, I want you to understand you are connected to spirit, but the communication process is not. So something at 6 years old threw you off, and it could have been a trauma and a drama to you. It's whatever 6 year old felt like it was a trauma and drama, or in real life, it could be really a trauma and drama. But for you, your spirit cannot, because of the emotions they're blocking, you cannot receive from spirit to help you feel connected, to help you feel loved, to help you. So you will feel these, because it can't, the energy of love can't come through. So you will feel these depressions, this helplessness, this stuff, and that'll feel like your world. So if you want to start connecting your spirit inside the body, the first thing you usually do is have to take care of the emotion. Now, your emotion that you're going to be taking care of would be that your peace is gone. It's like this is what you're hyper focusing on. So you can heal yourself. You can rewatch this as many times as you want. He'll do this healing as many times as you want. You just go over to YouTube, Medicine Woman Solution. That's SOULTION, Solution. So Medicine Woman Solution. And the timestamp that you can't see will be this clock here. Okay. So you can rewatch this reading. So what the first thing you do is you use your body. You have to connect with, oh God, yeah. So I feel like my peace is gone. I can measure that. That's a 10. Ugh. You take your right hand. This is your right hand, okay? And you're going to use your body as the tool to help you process, self-soothe, take care of yourself. And you are going to notice that I have a fingernail width, okay? And it's going to lay down 1, 2, 3, right? So there's 3 spots on this particular thing. They're called holds points, but you're going to go right wrist, second position. Now, you're going to put your thumb in that second position, not first, not third, but second. And then you're going to touch this and you're going to push in deep, not soft, but push in deep, penetrate, finger in the palm, create the letter C, safety, scared, stability. And then you take the palm, this part here, put your thumb back in the second. You're going to touch your forehead, and then you're going to let your fingers drop. So you got to touch this point and these 2 points. And now you get into the feeling state, the state that you told you to measure, and you're just going to be there. And don't go, it's because of this and this. I want you to just feel like, that's there. It's there. I can see it. It's there. You stay there. You stay there. You stay there. You stay there. And you give it 15 minutes, and then you measure again. And if the numbers come down, you're healing yourself. So keep doing it. Do it again. Get it to 0, and you're like, oh, don't do it just, oh, yeah, I feel better. No, do it till it's 0. And then what can happen is that because you're taking care of this emotional wedge, then spirit and you can start connecting, doing a heart-brain coherence. Now, to help you really make sure, and you get this to 0, you can even do it beforehand, is that I don't care which hand you use, but you're going to touch here, and you're going to say, I connect my spirit to my physical body 100% where it belongs. So you're going to lift off, come back. You're going to need to do this 10 times, okay? 5, 5, 10 times. I connect my spirit to my physical body where it belongs. I connect my spiritual body, or my spirit, to my physical body 100% where it belongs. You don't have to get the words exactly right. Just know that you can kind of feel how spirit's connecting and going everywhere. And you just keep doing it. Now you're also going to do it in reverse. You want the physical body to be connected to the spirit. So you start at the back and you say, I connect my physical body to my spirit. Lift off. Do it again. Say the words, lift off, using intention, the phrases, and doing it 10 times. And this will give you and your body a new energy field. Okay? But it's you taking that responsibility, because there's nothing else you can do except for going down in this state. But if you can begin to see that you can make a difference to yourself, and you start to go there again, you can say, wait a minute, I healed myself once, I can do this again. Healing is not saying I can take it one time and it's done, or I'm going to use one tool and it's a panacea and it cures everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in this moment, you're learning how to process, how to handle, how to cope, how to deal, how to self-soothe. But you have to be awake enough to notice that you made a difference in your world, because who you are does make a difference. You may not think it does, but it does. You made a difference by coming on here today. And you made a difference when you did the energy exchange with money. You made a difference because you asked this question, being very vulnerable to anybody that could be listening. But at the same time, there may be another person that goes, I needed to hear that, which somebody said, oh my God, I'm disconnected. I need to use the tool too. So you have helped in many different ways. And whoever rewatches this, you could be helping as well. Okay. So notice like when you're focusing on that particular feeling, you can even say, I haven't found people to connect with out here, and you know, you can measure that. And I said, if you were to really look and measure that, notice that again, it's your piece is gone. It still would be R2D at this point. But you got to sit there and work with yourself. And there are tools and protocols and things that can help you get back to your higher self, back to your heart brain coherence. Okay, thank you. What timestamp? Now, at this point, we know it's 12 something. Could have been 12:30 when I started your reading, or somewhere in there. Once you go, and once I get off here, I put up the timestamps. And so you'll see the timestamp. It'll either be in description or it'll be in comment section or both. And then you just look, and we would put Chronic Michelle, okay, or Michelle. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to write it, but you'll see it. You'll see the timestamp, and then you just slide the little button to you, look on my clock, and you're like, ooh, that's me. Okay, so it's going to be under Michelle. Okay. And let's say you're not really trusting this yet. That's fine. But just understand when you're ready, you can go back and watch as many times as you want, do it in practice. But as long as you keep your hand there and you're feeling, don't even have to have words. You may have pictures. You're like, God, it's there. Oh, and that's all you can do. That's fine. Stay there. Stay in that position in that one I showed you. Because you're going to be able to clear it better and faster. Okay? Alrighty. Oops, I got some comments here. I got to be able to. Where is it? Well, if I could find the screen, we'd be happy. Oh, somebody with Karen in it says, hello from Michigan, Heather James. Oh, hi. We were talking about you just the other day. You're looking wonderful. Oh, I think, yeah, sending love to all of you. You're probably already gone already, but still. Um, okay. So you know who, okay, Autumn, you know this person? Because I'd love one, but I'm still at work, currently on break. I would love to the next time though. And then you're saying, Autumn, had to back to work, but she did want a reading. I know her. She will watch later. Okay. So just to make sure we understand. So the timestamp we will have for how would we spell this? Wait a minute. We're gonna SAH dash free. Okay. Moderator SAH dash free. And then give the timestamp, and I will give them their free read. Okay. So as I look at this person, and I'm asking myself whether they want to heal, the words clear and concise. I mean, it's just like streamlining in my right ear. Right? Clear and concise. Don't know exactly what that means, but they're telling me that there's a quota identity. I got to keep showing up as this identity. I got to keep showing up as this identity. It's clear. I have to show up this way. I have to show up this way. I says, is this out of desperation? No, it's out of choice. Okay. But sometimes I do it because I feel deficient and I think this is the best way I'm supposed to show up. So your soul is saying, we're looking at why do you need this to show up this way? And I said, what are you talking about? And they're saying, well, I developed this part of me because I was galled by how people were treating me. And I said, oh, okay. So do we need to heal the gall? Yes, but not yet. Okay. Respect that. They said, I had this thing that happened and it changed me forever. So it's changed the way the brain is saying. So you can't go back to who you were. You have to go and be where you are now. And they said yes, but it's the way I said how I choose to treat myself. So towards me. So this event that happened, I'm looking at age 22. I don't know if this is how old you are here, but they're really pointing out 22 or the two. Oh, it's 22, I feel. But either way, it is your sensory self with whatever happened, which happened to you more on a mental thing. And the brain was like, I can't stop thinking about it. And so it left a mark on the brain. And because it did, it's how you had to cope, handle, deal. And the nerves are saying, I'm supposed to decompose. I'm supposed to because of this event. But you're like, nope, 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 not going to happen on my watch. But you can keep feeling this invading energy, whatever that invading energy. So you may not be in your mind thinking about it, but it is marked on your mind and it's playing out in different things. And the main thing, I guess, that it's playing out is on the physical. So they're saying that whatever occurred, you're looking at the physiology. So this is where you would want to go and connect with worry. So worry is inside the body form, and the physiology is to go into that state. Even if you're mentally not worrying, your body is. And if you choose to say, okay, I can connect with the age, I can connect with what I do is my coping tool is worry. And this is how I try to self-soothe this through worry because I don't know how to make it stop. Then the body has recorded that this is the way it's supposed to feel. And so if you can connect with that, you're going to take whether it's a brush, a comb. Where's my little pieces of paper? Well, just a minute. I don't know where I put them. I don't know why they're not here. Ah, here it is. So what you're going to do is you're going to take, whether you get a brush comb, drums, a drumming thing, or, even a scratching thing. But what you're going to do is you're going to think about worry. Now, if you can do this, you're going to put one hand, I don't care which hand, on here, touching here and here, and you're going to, got it, yes. And you can go see the incident, you can feel the worry, get into that state. And as you hold this, now I can't hold this and show the picture at the same time. So then you're going to go into T1, which is right here, T1, T5, and T9. So it's all in this upper region. So you're going to put like this, and you're going to breathe in and out 3 times about worry, and you're going to tap at T1. Take the time, go through 3 times, and then go down to T5. Think about the worry, feel how the body feels, and then you go down to T9. Now, if you can't reach T9, then you go the other way. Okay, but you get in there, and when you feel like you've done breathing in and out, that's 1, 3 times in those 3 spots, your body will then start to say, hold on, I don't always have to respond this way, and it can change the way it feels. Okay. Yes, right on track. Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. So I said, is there anything else that she could use? And they said, not yet. We want the physical body to calm down. So there must have been like other healings or other things that she's been doing, but the physical is just saying, yeah, I haven't found anything. No, you can go further and you can say somatic energy work, any of that. I haven't done it myself, but other people have swore by it. But the physiology, the body, the nerves, the main concern is that the brain had been marked. Now, you may have to hold another point, but we have to first get the body to be helped. Okay. Does she have problems physically? Because if you can't hold your hand up, whether your arm or you have no hands or whatever it is, yes, you can slip a magnet, a business card magnet. So you see 2 sides, right? And usually the name of the business card side, you might have the side here, and you can put a hat, a bandana, Just slip it under. Um, it's best if you can try to do, but you can also hold the intention that, and people are like, well, how do you hold intention? Well, if you said, okay, you touched my hand, but you're not really getting the connection, touch your hand, have somebody else touch you, and that sensation you can imagine. So you can have that sensation there or the sensation here. So as you hold intention, you know, as you are doing the other stuff, and you can feel these tingle because you know the difference. You are helping your body to heal faster. That makes sense? If you are not able to tap using this, go find a door jamb, open up a door, get into where the framework is, and then just like if you can do this, or even if you have a magnet there, just kind of bounce in those spots. Don't do it hard, but think about how you know the wording, the story, and then do all those points against one of those. Okay. You guys have been great, and thank you for talking with me, chatting with me, and I'm glad I can show up to help you. Let me check anything else. Let's see. Tribal tomorrow. Um, any other topics that you guys would want? Let me know. Let me know. I'm liking all the fact that the thumbs are up. There's a lot of people that says that they're in the room. If that's the case, we can continue to talk, or you can just looking for anything else to stay. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Push the wrong button there. Okay. Just double checking. Great show. All right. Thank you. Okay. Now, if you happen to listen to today's program and something, see, you heard somebody else have a reading, hold the same points, do the same thing. It doesn't hurt. It just helps. And all I can say is, you guys got this. The more you begin to hear your soul, the more you get connected to your spirit, the more you get heart brain coherence, the more you can start noticing that you don't have to be your program. And as you begin to wake up, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to do it the way I did it before. Self soothe, cope, handle, deal, pacify. I can resolve, and you can learn how to be in this moment. So I already hold you as that you're already blessed and that you're already whole. And so I want you to know that you can do this. Now, if you choose to stay on, I'm going to help Amy. So Miss Ames, okay, we're just gonna, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to do this afterwards. Hi,
You got to turn my camera back on.
I do. Wow, that's bizarre.
Yeah, when the host shuts it off, I can't turn it back on.
Oops, that's new. Oh,
No,
well.
it's been that way all the time.
Okay, so sorry, people in tribal.
And tribal will be an hour earlier for us tomorrow
Yes, all those that are coming to
from
tribal.
the States.
Yeah, if you're in the United States, you have to know accordingly. So how are you? You would continue to work after,
I'm a whole lot better. There's still something underlying, but
but you can feel the under pressure.
oh yeah, yeah.
And this is because you said something, you committed, and now you have to follow through, or is it that you had to follow through because if you didn't say yes, they were going to keep pushing?
They were gonna keep pushing.
So you don't know how to cope, handle, deal, and pacify that yet.
No,
So what you need to ask yourself is that, why the heck don't I? I should. Why am I not?
it's a
Because
habit.
again, it's a habit, right? Because it's not victim. It is this is where you can ask and you can go, okay, it's a habit. Like I said, you were healing out the joy, this, that, and the other, and then you got yourself, so you have to look at and heal all these different directions. I said, so where are you on this happiness thing? They said you did pretty good. You're relearning about scalar field, which is friendship. There is a physical thing that's happening, and which is I can't behave the way I want. So the body is not even going to cooperate with you. Okay. So R1, no, sorry. I don't want to do that. What are you saying? This is part of that deficiency, the big thing you were working on. They said that to do this, they want you to tap T3 and T6 because this is how you get guilt or shame if you don't show up the way they're designing you to. So how do you put this? They have a picture about how and what they want. And so if they connect a certain way and they do a certain thing, they'll follow through. So you're mimicking how I went through with you. So
Mm-hmm.
this is part of your karma.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
now the shoe's on the other foot, and you're like, oh, oh. Expecting you to show up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
No.
and whoa, there you go. Whatever that last one you did this real quick there. So and it's amazing when I say T3 and T6 and you're able to go that far, your arms must have been able to accept for me to do T3 and T6. Just no way I can.
Well, when I was at the chiropractor the other day, I asked him to show me
Where
where
they are.
T5 was.
And
T5 is right above my bra strap.
yeah,
So then,
okay. Yeah. So that throws you off when you're looking at this. Is why I wish I could find I don't want more anatomically correct, but
the more
but
anatomically correct. Yeah.
sometimes you need it. I
Mm-hmm.
really wish we could get a t-shirt made and it really would fall right in there. Because when you look at T5, you're like, no, that looks like it's so high. But if you were to feel like there's one,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4. Now, see, this is the thing. I got to figure this out because I don't know. Because your bra strap. Now, come on. If your boobs are big, your bra strap's going to be up on your shoulders. Just like when they say measure where your nipple is. I'm sorry, mine are down here. And if I didn't wear a bra, they'd probably scrape the ground. That's a joke. But anyway, everybody's a little bit different
Mm-hmm.
positioning. You're going to measure it in that fashion. Uh,
Yes.
so again, now you have to look at all these angles. You're waking up as a spiritual human, which means you have to pay attention to. No,
Mm-hmm.
I got to measure this and heal it. No, you're much farther advanced now at this because you're meant to become your spirit watching. So you're going
Mm-hmm.
to look at it from this angle, but you're going to look at it from this angle, and you're going to look at it from this angle. You're not going to whittle it down to one conclusion anymore. You're learning to see the bigger picture, and it is. Oh, so
Mm-hmm.
you had looked at different angles,
Yeah.
and it's not that you have to be. So your shadow is saying, "I'm supposed to behave this way."
Yep.
Then your little says, "Oh my God, I'm the victim." Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, "Oh, I'm supposed to show up this way." So we have many personalities that are all happening at once. But if we look at it as the body's energy field, you can change it. And
Mm-hmm.
the story, you can change each and every one of those. All right. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
And we will talk to you tomorrow in Tribal. And there it
Absolutely.
is. Yeah, I was looking for it. I found it. This is always a handy dandy one
Yes, I've got one and it works marvelously.
because it's metal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is his. Mine is in the other room. And so I use it. And I actually use it for what it's supposed to be sometimes for.
I do too.
Works wonders. Okay, that's enough goofing around. Thank you so much. We're going to say goodbye. Okay.
I love you. We'll see you
Love you too.
tomorrow in tribal.
Yep. All right. Bye. Before we go, some people are like, oh, cards. And I said, okay, so it's in the asking for tomorrow, this future thing for tomorrow. And we're just going to see. Now, I don't know what name of this deck is. That's what it looks like. But the thing is that Magician and the Mirror. Of course, I don't have my book, so I can't tell you what that is. But I can tell you that what are you looking in the mirror? Now, here, oh, they really are strong on this one. Okay. You are the magic, but as you look at mirror in life, the person in front of you, it isn't always going to be, oh, the same movement. Okay. And sometimes the mirror will tell you how to behave and you copy that. And then sometimes you will have to move and hopefully the mirror will start to follow you. And you are the one that gets to be in charge of that magic. So you have this point where, as your spirit being, and you're looking, you have this the choice point of what that is, and you get to decide if you're going to be the program that's going to keep mimicking or you're going to become something else. And so you're moving into becoming in the healers of the ages, meaning this is, you can either be the thing in the past where you're supposed to be, what is it, what I call it? It's what everybody calls it. Um, Joseph Campbell coined it, and it was the hero's journey. Well, you're in the healer's journey. And when you begin to notice that to self soothe, do what you need to do, you're in charge. You get to, again, the reason I'm here is because I could never handle when I was tragedy, the dramas, and there was no self soothing. But now you can resolve to create that ability to, oh, I don't have to cope with it. I don't have to deal with it. I can resolve it. That means taking out the chemical peptide, taking out the drama, taking care of the meaning, and allowing yourself to become a very spiritual being, having an earthly experience, but you're in charge. So you become a spiritual human. So thank you all for being here today. You're already blessed.